The U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution. Focus question. What is the U.S. Constitution and why is it important? The need for a constitution. The United States won its independence from Great Britain in 1783. After 7 years of war, Americans were happy to finally have their own country, but they soon realized that they needed a new form of government. Since 1781, the states had worked together under an agreement called the Articles of Confederation, but it just wasn't working. The Articles gave more power to the states. The Continental Congress, the nation's first government, had very little power. The Congress could do almost nothing that any of the individual states were against. By 1786, it was clear that a stronger central government was needed. A historic meeting. In the summer of 1787, a group of delegates gathered in Philadelphia to create a new constitution or plan of government. The group included George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and James Madison, the main author of the Constitution. Under the direction of George Washington, the delegates discussed what form the new government should take. They explained then argued about their ideas all through the hot summer. In the end, they created a new government with 3 branches: legislative, Congress, executive, the presidency, and judicial, the federal courts. When they completed their work, they had written a constitution that would last for hundreds of years. The U.S. Constitution is the highest law of the land. It is also the oldest written constitution since in use in the world. By early 1789, 11 states had approved the Constitution, and it became law. By the end of May 1790, the 2 remaining states, North Carolina and Rhode Island, had also approved it. In February 1789, George Washington became the first person elected president under the Constitution. A new age had begun. What's in the Constitution? The introduction to the Constitution explained the goal of the document is to create a just, peaceful, safe, and prosperous society where people will enjoy the blessings of liberty. The main body of the Constitution is organized into 7 articles or sections. The first 3 articles explain how the 3 branches of the government are organized. Article I deals with Congress, which is divided into 2 parts: the House of Representatives and the Senate. The main job of the 2 houses of Congress is to pass new laws. The Constitution also gives Congress the power to collect taxes and provides for the defense of the nation. Article 2 deals with the executive branch. It grants the president certain powers and makes him or her the head of the armed forces. It also explains that anyone who wants to run for president needs to be natural-born citizen at least 35 years old. Under the system created by the Constitution, Americans don't actually vote directly for their president. They vote for people called electors, who are chosen by the state legislature. Those electors then vote for the president. This system, known as the Electoral College, is supposed to keep someone who is popular but dangerous from becoming president. It is still in use today. Today it is combined with a popular vote. Article 3 deals with the federal court system. It states that the judiciary includes a system of lower-level courts and the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court serves as a final decision maker in federal legal cases. The remaining articles deal with relationships among the states, the procedure for amending or changing the Constitution, and national debts and treaties. The creators of the Constitution believed that a government should work within a system of checks and balances. This system limits the power of each branch of government to keep it from having too much control over the other branches. A major concern of the states was the federal government would have too much power over them. To address this fear, the Constitution divides powers between the federal government and the states. This Constitution also protects the right of individual citizens. It states that no person accused of a crime will lose his or her life, liberty, or property without going through a fair legal process, such as a trial by a judge or jury. It also forbids cruel and unusual punishment and protects free speech and other liberties. A living document. The ability to amend the Constitution had made it a living document. It changes with the times and with the changing needs of American society. The Constitution has amended before it was even approved by all the states. Some states were worried that the rights of citizens were not protected well enough in the first 7 articles of the document. To solve that problem, James Madison wrote a list of new amendments. 12 of his suggested amendments were approved by the first Congress in late 1789 and sent to the states. 10 of the amendments were approved by the states and became parts of the Constitution. Those 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights. The most important addition to the Constitution is the First Amendment. It guarantees freedom of speech and religion, freedom of the press, and freedom of assembly. The guarantee of free speech allows people to openly share their opinions, even if those views are critical of the government. There are still some limits to free speech, though. For example, threatening to harm someone or lying while under oath in a court of law are not protected. With regard to religion, the First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. This means that people are free to practice whatever religion they want to, or none at all. It also means that religion and government must be kept separate. Freedom of the press guarantees that journalists can work freely. They can report on government wrongdoing and criticize the government. Freedom of assembly guarantees that citizens have the right to gather together peacefully. This freedom allows Americans to hold protests and rallies for or against causes. Other important protections for citizens are included in the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments. The 4th Amendment prevents police or government agents from searching people's homes unless they have a sound legal reason to do so. The 5th and 6th Amendments spell out protections for people accused of crimes. The 10th Amendment states that any powers not given to the federal government to the states. This amendment is the reason so many laws, such as those for public education and state taxes, are different from one state to another. Over the years, 17 other amendments have been added to the Constitution. Among those amendments are ones ending slavery, granting African Americans and women the vote, and creating a federal income tax. Only one amendment has ever been cancelled. In 1933, the 21st Amendment cancelled the 18th Amendment. That amendment, adopted in 1919, made the manufacture, sale, or transport of alcoholic beverages illegal. The legacy of the Constitution. The U.S. Constitution has served as a model for many other constitutions around the world, but the Constitution is not without problems. One of its major flaws was that it allowed slavery to continue. Slavery only ended after the Civil War through an amendment. Some people have argued that giving every state 2 votes in the Senate is also a problem. They say it gives states with fewer people a voice in Congress far beyond what is fair. Another criticism centers of the Electoral College. To win a presidential election, a candidate must win a majority of the electoral votes. This system of electing a president makes it possible for a candidate to win the popular vote, just lose the election. That has happened 5 times in presidential elections, including the elections of 2000 and 2016. The writers of the Constitution did the best they could at the time. They created a document that, whatever its problems, has lasted for well over 200 years. Today, the Constitution continues to define how the government of the United States worked. When it falls short of fully meeting the needs of the people, they can amend it. This living document will hopefully guide the United States for centuries to come.